Hi there, welcome to the Cascadian. My name is Ethan. This is going to be the intro video for the channel, and it should hopefully tell you all you need to know about being here. So, welcome. I started this channel because I'm a very idiocentric person. I have a lot of ideas, and I think ideas run the world. This is a great place to put them out and have people listen to them. I want to have some type of communal engagement going on. I don't want to just be screaming into the void. I'm trying to talk about issues that are relevant to me and to you and to everyone alive today. I have a couple ideas for this channel. I'm going to release this and there's not going to be any videos on it. So this is just a bit of a teaser, something to get me motivated as well. I have two main streams of videos I'd like to do, but first off, I just kind of want to explain why I'm thinking about doing what I'm doing. I personally am really concerned about the news, and I'd love to do a daily or a type of weekly kind of news digestive content, but I don't think YouTube is the place for it, particularly just views and just how it functions. I don't think having one video that's only going to be relevant for a week is a very good idea, but I do think something like a podcast is something I'll look into to do that later in the future. Obviously, I wouldn't want to do it just myself, so I don't have anyone right now in my life that wants to start it with me, any like-minded individuals. If you're interested in starting a podcast and you're seeing this, you're probably pretty niche down here in Canadian leftist content, so shoot me an email or anything. You know, I'm open to whatever. There's two things I really want to cover on this channel, and so what I want the content to be is evergreen. It's content that doesn't go bad after a week like a news article would. Anyway, I used to do a marketing job and I hated it, but I do know a good amount about kind of what to do in marketing and how to handle it. Evergreen content is going to work really well on YouTube. It's stuff that people can constantly go to and always get value from. The two things I want to focus on this channel right away are going to be the Green New Deal and political theory, political, critical, and social theory, breaking that down for people that don't necessarily like to read it and digest it that way, giving you quick 10-15 minute videos saying, you know, this is what Aristotle said or whatever. And the Green New Deal, I have a video list lined up, and there's a bunch of things I want to cover. I want to cover a jobs guarantee, prospect of switching people from oil work to energy work, how we can use retrofitting as a way, an opportunity to dramatically improve the social conditions of our housing, different ways we can nationalize different services. So Matthew Green tweeted out just yesterday, Canada used to own X amount of services: TELUS, Petrocan, CN, Air Canada, Canada Rail, for just to name a couple off the top of my head. And if we had those nationalized, what kind of wealth could those generate for our society is a really good question to ask. I want to do a specific video on TELUS and how nationalizing that would give us a way to truly regulate Rogers and Bell and that telecommunications industry in a public-private way. I'll go into a lot more detail in those videos, but those are just some quick hitters to maybe get you a little interested. In terms of the books I want to cover in the theory part of this channel, I have them right here. I'm going to show you right now. We're going to start probably with Plato, or, you know, the videos might not come out in order, but this is the series of order I would like to go through. Something like, I like Plato, The Last Days of Socrates, right here. It's really essential to understanding kind of critical thinking and what we're doing living just as people. And a complementary text to that is Aristotle's Ethics, specifically Nicomachean Ethics. It's named after his son, and it's about living a good life and what there is to do, and how you can decide whether you're living a good life or what judgments you can make on that as well. So I'd like to start with those, get that first Greek thought covered. After that, I would like to move into classical liberalism, because I'm going to eventually connect that to anarchism through Chomsky. So this might be, my first video might be about The Social Contract from Jean-Jacques Rousseau. It's unbelievable, and if you don't read it and come away thinking, wow, this man's an anarchist, you haven't read enough anarchism. I'd like to also move on to John Stuart Mill's On Liberty. He has other writings in here on the subjugation of women and on socialism, which I might cover eventually. It's just that I need to read these multiple times and have multiple sets of notes about these before I even feel comfortable giving my opinion and diagnosis of them. So these are just books I've read throughout the past years of my life, and I'm quite comfortable kind of regurgitating them. I've done it a lot at parties. So one I'm really excited to focus on is Ralph Waldo Emerson's On Self-Reliance. It's It's one of the greatest essays ever written, in my opinion. I don't think there's a better piece of existential writing out there. This jade tree I just bought the other day. It's still in its little plastic cover, but I named it Emerson. I'll explain that right now. I named this tree Emerson because my goal with it, I grew up with a jade tree in my house and my mother, and it was old and passed along and great. So I would love for the goal is that my children will be able to give this tree to their children. And I named it Emerson because he's the greatest figure for joy I could think of. And the prospect of my children being able to give their children a tree that I started is incredibly joyous, because what it tells me is that we've completed these sets of impossible hurdles that we're facing now. We've overcome the climate catastrophe. We've overcome the unethical nature of capitalism. We've overcome extreme mental abuse and mental health problems within our society, etc. If my children have children, that means we've done it, right? And so being able to name that tree Emerson was a lot of joy in the name itself. So that gives you a little bit of introduction to that. I would like to cover Das Kapital from Marx. I've actually never read that one yet. I've read bits and parts of it, but I haven't dissected it and really gone through. So that's right on my list, top of my list, don't worry. I would like to cover Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, because it's just a seminal text of being a human. If you haven't read it, it's only like 130 pages, so read it. It's amazing. It's written by a Holocaust survivor about how people survive, and so I won't spoil it all now because it's quite short. This one may also be my first video because I'm reading this right now. This is called The Origins of Totalitarianism from Hannah Arendt. Just brilliant. I don't think there's a better political theorist than Hannah Arendt. Maybe Chomsky, but I wouldn't really call him a theorist. I love her. She's good, and it goes through how a society changes to be a totalitarian, hateful society, and how that one will be really hard for me to make because it's going to have to really pinpoint where these mapping points are within our own society, and that might take me some time. Anyway, keep on subscribed, and you'll see it eventually. Moving down the list, I have Killing in War, which I mentioned in my very first video. I have that book on that list because it explains morality in ways that aren't explained any other ways. It gives forward the idea that if you are a part of an unethical action, if you're an unethical actor, you are liable for those decisions, and that's just it. So the last one on my list is Noam Chomsky's Who Rules the World. Anyway, that book, if you've never read that book, that's the top of the list. You have to read Noam Chomsky, Who Rules the World, and then you have to move on to Understanding Power. Those two books from him will solidify your worldview in ways that you've never experienced it if you haven't. He's the one that pushed me off of loving Obama and liberalism. And it was reading that book at the same time that I was reading James Comey's memoir about Trump and everything else, that I really was disgusted by liberalism and the apologetic nature of it, particularly the inaction that comes with being a liberal. That book was what pushed me to the left, and I think it will push you to the left if you're not there yet. Nonetheless, I don't think you should be scared of any of these ideas. None of these books truly represent my thinking. Even all of them together don't represent my thinking. I live by a Nietzsche quote that goes along the lines of, my reader, he's talking about the people that read him, and he says, my reader isn't someone that's moral or isn't someone that's this or that. What they are is they're hungry for, and they're curious for truth, and they're not scared of it. In order to find the truth, you cannot be scared of what you're going to find. You have to look for it. And I think that's what we need today. In today's political society, I think we need to be less scared of the other side. I think we need to be less scared of different ideas. And I think in order for us to survive, it's going to take us truly looking for the truth, Marianne Williams style. Big truth, baby. If you don't think Marianne Williamson is an amazing candidate, you haven't run enough political theory. So, yeah, that was a little quick channel intro. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked Emerson over here. I'm going to try to keep him there if I can. Quick list of kind of content on my mind and what you could expect if you subscribe and, you know, keep looking out for my videos. So my end goal for my personal career would be to run a magazine like the Jacobin. My ideal, because I study political theory and philosophy in a non-layman's way, I use quite technical terms and everything, but I come from layman's, and my whole family are laymen. And I think it's incredibly important that we have content in one place that can stream from really high-end theoretical ideas all the way to digestible content for the layman. And I want my magazine, an online website or whatever, to do that. I would love to have a podcast that dissects the newest political theory book that then has a group of people that read that podcast and read that book, digest it, and present it for the layman in another podcast. I think genuinely looking for truth and ideas is really important, and that's what I'm trying to do on this channel. I love to have political debates. Even if you're a Peterson fan, first clean your room. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you around.